Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Tobias. I will be teaching today's class. I am a public education coordinator with Louisville Metro Solid Waste. And we also have our brand, which is called No Waste Louisville. So we go around the city and we teach people about their garbage and recycling. And today I would like to just talk a little bit about how to dispose of products the proper way. And this is pretty much an open discussion. I don't think we're going to have a lot of people on here today. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or type it in the chat or whatever works for you. So this is called New to Lou. It's mostly geared towards um, people who are new to the city, but also if you've been here 5 minutes or 5 years or 15 years, maybe you have some questions about garbage, maybe um, it just doesn't make sense, or recycling or yard waste. So I'm here to kind of clarify some of those things. And if you have any questions, like I said, just go ahead and ask, type it in the chat, raise your hand. This is really an open discussion. It's very informal. Or you can wait till the end. I'll have time for questions as well, whatever works for you. So let's get started. Okay, so why does putting waste in its place matter? So putting waste in its place matters because well, we all want clean neighborhoods. We all want to be healthy. We want our families to be clean, to be healthy. And we also want to make sure that our city is beautiful. A lot of us take pride in where we live. We want to make sure that we stop pests from getting into our backyards that we don't want. And we want to make sure that litter is not all around the neighborhood, and in our parks, in our waters, and all of that. Um, so these are all really obvious, but sometimes we don't always think about things like keeping our garbage lids closed, bagging our garbage, stuff like that, and why it's so important. And this is why I know that sometimes if we don't bag things when our garbage men and recycle, when our people are coming to pick up your waste, all of our waste, things can fly out and they're in a hurry, so they might not always grab it all. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to how you're disposing of things and why why it's important, why it matters. Okay. So one thing that I am going to talk about a little bit is how waste collection services vary. So depending on where you live, everything that I'm going to speak about in the next couple of slides might change slightly based off of your location in Jefferson County or Louisville. If you are within the urban services district, that would be you will probably have our waste pickup. You'll probably have Metro garbage recycling. So it covers the old city of Louisville boundaries. Um, you will probably receive city managed trash, recycling, yard waste, and large item pickup. So you'll probably see our big orange trucks coming around on your garbage and recycling days and yard waste days, or if you set out a large item. If you're in the unincorporated area, these are the areas outside of the old Louisville boundary city of, I mean, sorry, the old city of Louisville boundaries. These are areas like J-Town. Well, actually, I'm sorry, those are home rule cities. So these areas are kind of like the outlying areas. And these are the areas where you would need to contract with private haulers for garbage and recycling. And those are all optional, but you usually have to pay a fee. Then there's the home rule cities like St. Matthews and Jeffersontown. These also usually have their own waste service haulers and their own policies. So some of the stuff that I speak about here may or may not apply to you. And this is where you would want to contact your local city hall for specific guidelines. If anyone has a question on how to contact their local city hall, I will be showing you probably in like a slide or two how to look up your address. And it actually will tell you if you're within the urban services district or if you're outside of it, and it'll tell you a lot of information on how to contact council people and city hall, all of that kind of stuff. So, and then finally, we have apartment complexes and multifamily units. These waste services are typically arranged by property managers. So if you have a question about your garbage, your recycling, anything like that, you may or may not have recycling. Usually you have dumpsters. This is when you would want to talk to the property manager. And you would want to speak to management wherever you live, and they'll be able to answer all those questions for you. Okay, so like I said, there is a way to look up your address on our louisvilleky.gov page. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a little icon with a garbage or recycle truck. As you can see in the top left corner, it says address lookup. You can click on that or hover over that. Then you can type in your address, and right below where it says 123 Main Street on this page, it'll bring up your solid waste services. It'll tell you if you're within the urban services district, and if you are within it, it'll tell you specific days that your pickup is, your garbage, your yard waste, and your recycling pickup. And it'll even have a link if you want to make a large item appointment. So that is something that I will cover a little bit later if you have any questions about large item appointment. But it also will tell you a handful of other really great information, um, a lot of other great information right below and right next to where the solid waste service information is. So I'm going to switch to the next page and show you kind of what that would look like. So as you can see, we typed in where I work, 600 Merriweather, and that's the SWIMS location, Solid Waste Management Services. And like I said, you're going to go up to where it says address lookup. This is all the way at the bottom of the louisvilleky.gov page. You're going to type in your address just for the purpose of this video. I wanted to show you that 600 Merriweather is where we are, and it is within the Urban Services District. So it'll show you solid waste services right below that, and it shows us that for this area, garbage day is Tuesday weekly, recycle is every other Wednesday, and yard waste is Wednesday weekly. You can also schedule a pickup. You click on this little hyperlinked text that says just a second. Okay, and something else to note is that it shows you the district. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the next slide, and this just shows what it looks like when you are out of the urban services district. So as you can see, it says 10416 Waterson Trail. This is an address that is clearly out of the service district. So when you look at solid waste services, it'll show you outside service area for all the options. It shows that we are now located in Jeffersontown, but it does show council members, and I believe that if you click on those hyperlinks, it'll actually show you how to contact them. So really quick, the main types of residential waste are garbage, obviously recycling, electronics, household hazardous waste, large items, and yard waste. We will be covering all of these. If you have any questions about any of this stuff while we're covering them, please feel free to ask or just save it till the end, whatever works for you. So we're going to go ahead and start with one of the biggest ones, which is garbage collection. This is something that we all deal with. It's something that we all should know how to dispose of properly, but if you have any questions, make sure that you address those. This is required by all residents. And like I said, you can use the address lookup on louisvilleky.gov if you're unsure if you're an urban services district. Some basic things that you should think about or things that you should know, I guess, is that you should set your cart out no later than 6 a.m. on collection day, and make sure that you do not set it out earlier than 4 p.m. the day before. Also, this kind of is some a guideline that you should use regardless of if you're in the urban services district or not. One way that we tell people to keep track of their carts is by keeping them kind of close to your home, or, in your backyard or whatever, uh, when it's not in use. You just want to keep it out for that brief period of time. People don't really want to see that. And also sometimes they get in the road, and cars have to drive by them, and they might be dodging carts. And also sometimes they can roll away. People sometimes lose their carts that way. So just something to think about. So this is Be Cart Smart. This is our little mascot here at Metro Solid Waste. We do walk around and we bring this literature to people just to remind them of some key elements that I spoke about just a second ago. Make sure to return your carts to your property after collection. Your If you have a damaged cart, you can request a repair through your waste hauler. Of course, if you're in Urban Services District, you can always use Metro 311. The app is wonderful. You can put in a waste container request through there. Um, it's a great asset to have, and it's very, very easy. You can do it from anywhere. And finally, make sure to keep your lids closed to prevent litter and animal access. I know in a lot of the neighborhoods we go into, a lot of people have that issue, and sometimes they have to put bricks on top of their cart's lids. But you can always wash them out too. It's probably not a bad idea if you've had your cart since 2002 to rinse it out a little every once in a while. So, just something to think about. Okay, we are going to talk about recycling next. So this is a card that I wanted to put on here because we pass these out at a lot of our events or when we're going door to door. And this is something that is kind of across the board here in Louisville, Kentucky. As you can see at the very bottom, it shows a couple of different well-known waste haulers in our city. So even if you're out of the urban services district, this will probably apply to you if you recycle. Regardless of who your hauler is, these are the items that you can put in your recycle cart. If they are not on this list, it is unlikely that they should go in your recycle cart. So we see a lot of people who put air filters or mirrors. Those things do not belong in your recycle cart. As much as we would love to be able to recycle those things, they do not belong in your recycle cart. Just because something has a little number with the chasing arrows around it does not mean it's recyclable. Stick with what's on this list. Maybe take a picture of it. Or if anyone wants me to email them like a picture of this, I can totally do that after this meeting. Whatever you need. Just You can also use Recycle Coach, which is found on our website. I'll talk about that later. And you can look stuff up and see what it says, how to dispose of it. That's a great tool to use. Okay, so recycling collection is another great service that's offered through Louisville Metro Solid Waste. It is required to be offered through every hauler as well. Unfortunately, it may be at an added cost. But it's definitely worth looking into. We are big proponents of recycling here at No Waste. Um, so it's available to households in the Urban Services District, which is funded through taxes. It's something that you should take advantage of, especially if you are in the Urban Services District, because you're getting this service. It's offered to you regardless of if you want it or not, and it's funded through taxes, so you might as well take advantage of it. Especially if you're planning on doing it correctly. It's offered by private waste haulers, but it usually is a little extra. but it's just like I said with the garbage carts, you want to set your cart out no later than 6 a.m. and actually 5 a.m. during the summer on collection day and no earlier than 4 p.m. the day before. So you don't want to be setting it out like 2 days before, and keeping it out 2 days later. You really want to like stick to the schedule. It's good to know when your scheduled collection day is. In the urban services district, the scheduled collection day is for recycling is every other week. This week this is the week of August 11th, and we are currently on a no recycling week. So next week we will have a whole bunch of recycling carts out because next week is a recycling week. So it just goes one on, one off. Um, Once again, Recycle Coach will give you those notifications if you sign up for that. There are drop-off locations available to all Louisville residents. So let's say you live in Louisville, but you don't want to pay extra for recycling, but you really want to recycle. There are some drop-off locations available and they're scattered throughout the city. I will talk about those later. And there's going to be a map, but you can also find that on our website as well. Okay, so the next slide is about recycling drop-off. So if you go to louisvilleky.gov/recycle map, you can find a map of all the drop-off locations. And this is what our recycling dumpsters look like. One thing to note here is where it says what's available or what you can recycle. These big stickers are really handy. Not everyone pays attention to them. It is very important that if you are using these wonderful drop-off locations, that you only put what you can recycle in your regular household recycling in these dumpsters. Please do not put plastic bags. Please do not leave a mattress, a box spring, any hazardous materials, construction demolition, yard waste, or foam, anything like that. The only thing that should be going into these dumpsters is what you put in your regular household recycling. So cardboard, cartons, paper, plastic, milk jugs, yogurt containers, water bottles, shampoo bottles. You can put glass jars like from pickles or wine bottles, beer bottles, or of course aluminum and tin cans. That is the only thing that should be going in these containers. And as you can see at the top of them, there is a small cutout and they're locked because people were abusing them. But this is a great service that we want to offer to everyone in Jefferson County. And we hope that people use them properly because unfortunately, if they're areas that get dumped on a lot, they could potentially close. And we don't want that because people really do. There are a lot of people who use them the correct way. Also, one thing to note is there's always someone watching, and I don't like to scare people, but people do get caught dumping things that they should not dump here. So make sure you read the what's allowed and what's not allowed. It's all posted at these locations. This is just a picture of the drop-off locations. So as you can see, all of the blue ones are the unstaffed locations, and these are the locations that you can kind of go to at your own pace, shall I say. They're opened on holidays. They're open, let's say you get off at 5, but you don't get home until 6, and you need to drop off all your recycling and you forgot it at home. You can bring these by at 6:30 or 7. Um, the green ones are the staffed locations, and these are open from Tuesday through, let's see, Tuesday through Saturday from 9 to 5, I believe. Let me make sure. So correction, these locations are open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5, these staff drop-offs. Just something to note. And the yellow is the has-been. That's where you would drop off hazardous materials. And they're open Tuesday through Saturday. And they're open 9 to see, 9:30 to 4. And then there is the red one, that is our, oops, that's our waste reduction center, and that's really close to where I work. That's at 636 Merriweather. They're open Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 8 to 3. So this is just a couple of these are, this is just kind of showing what it looks like when we did a tour of Smurfit Westrock, which is our recycling partner. That's where all of your recycling goes. It's kind of what it looks like. And the reason why I wanted to show some of these slides about recycling is because a lot of people do ask when we're out and about, when we do our outreach events, when we're tabling at events, a lot of people ask us about recycling. A lot of people are skeptical about it and they wonder where recycling goes. So this is just kind of a, it's called an end market list. This is where Smurfit Westrock takes all of the items that they collect from Louisville residents. So they all stay within the country, contrary to what some people believe. The furthest north they go is New York, and that's just one item, one of their end market areas is corrugated paperboard goes to Solvay, New York, cardboard. And the furthest south is Texas, Sugarland, Texas. And that's LDPE film. So that's a type of plastic film which goes to Texas for pallets. Everything else stays pretty close by. A lot of places are in Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana. So just something to know. Everything is staying pretty local in that respect. We're not shipping them overseas anywhere. All of our recycling is local. And I just wanted to show this map that kind of shows really how local your recycling is. It's not going to Washington State or to Hawaii. It's not going to California. It's staying fairly close to us, which is a big deal, especially if you're somebody who thinks about the carbon footprint of recycling. There really is no reason not to recycle. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to yard waste. Yard waste is a pretty great service offered, especially with the Urban Services District. It's collected every week. Usually it'll be collected on your recycle day. So let's say you have recycling every other Wednesday, your yard waste will be picked up every Wednesday. It's available to households in the Urban Services District, which is it's also funded through taxes. Private waste haulers typically will offer it, but they will definitely offer it, but typically it will cost extra, and it's sometimes seasonal. So just like all the others, you want to set your yard waste out no later than 6 a.m., 5 a.m. during the summer on collection day, and no earlier than 4 p.m. the day before. And yard waste is collected at pop-up drop-off events. So make sure that when you are putting yard waste out, please do not put it in your garbage cart. Please do not put it in your recycle cart. You either need to get a different bin for it or buy those little paper bags that you can get at Home Depot, Kroger, Lowe's, anything like that. And I'll show you in the next slide what that looks like. All right, so keep your yard waste manageable. Please ensure that yard waste is no longer than 2 inches in diameter and under 4 feet long. So as you can see in this bottom picture under do this with the green thumb, those sticks are bundled very nicely. You want to try and cut up your sticks if you can. The diameter should not be larger than 2 inches. You want to bundle them if possible, or you just want to secure them. So they either need to be bundled They can be put in a compostable yard waste bag. Like I said, you can get those from Kroger, Home Depot, any hardware store. Or you can get bins specifically for that, and those are reusable. So you can use your own metal or plastic container. It should be 20 to 40 gallons with two handles and a lid. Please, please, please do not bag your yard waste in bags. They will not collect this. If you um if you bag them in bags, they don't know what that is. They're not going to throw that in the yard waste truck, and they're not going to spend time looking through that because that's not their job. So do not bag your yard waste in plastic bags. This stuff is going to Smith Creek. At least within the urban services district, it's going to Smith Creek, and Smith Creek produces mulch with the yard waste that they pick up, so they don't want plastic bags in there. Also, please don't just put out a whole bunch of sticks that are not bundled. Nobody knows what that's for. They're not going to pick that up. Make sure it looks pretty neat and looks like it's ready to get picked up. All right, large item collection. So, large item collection is available through appointments to households in the urban services district. It's free for urban services district residents. And it's also a service that's offered by most private waste haulers. It could potentially be at an extra cost. That's something that you could look up with your hauler, your waste hauler. And large items are also accepted at our pop-up drop-off events. So you are allowed to set out 4 items per week for free, or you can bring 4 items per day to the Waste Reduction Center at 636 Merriweather for free. They do have to actually be large items. So a box of a whole bunch of small items would not can be considered a large item. Large item would be considered, or I'm sorry, a box spring, a mattress, a couch, a table, things like that. A tire, those are all considered large items, and you can set those out. When you set up those appointments on Metro 311 on the app, you can actually you are supposed to list the items that you are setting out, and you don't want to set out more than what you listed. They will not pick those up. So for large item collection, like I said, these are some of the accepted and not accepted items. So mattress, box spring, couch, 4 tires, anything like that, those would be accepted items. You just want to list that when you're setting the appointment. And some items that are not accepted would be your yard waste, bags of items, not accepted. A refrigerator or any item containing Freon would not be accepted. Electronics, hazardous materials, or construction debris. Please do not set out those items. There are ways to dispose of those items properly, and you can use the What Goes Where tool on louisvilleky.gov. Or you can use louisvilleky.gov. It has some great information on where you can drop off a lot of those items. So the Waste Reduction Center is it's not a one-stop shop place, but it definitely is a great resource where you can drop off a lot of different things. The Waste Reduction Center is located at 636 Merriweather Ave. It's open from Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday, 8 to 3. As a Louisville or Jefferson County resident, you can bring up to 4 large items per day for free, up to 3 electronic items, and up to 4 tires per day for free. If you have loads of items that are not in that top group, you will have to pay a fee, but those items that I said you could not set out for large item in the last list, you can bring here. So items like loads of construction, yard waste, or more than 4 items, or more than 3 electronics, you can actually drop those off for a fee at the Waste Reduction Center. You just need to get rid of it. It's still cheaper than paying a fine if you get cited. So next I want to talk about the has-been. This is where you drop off your hazardous materials. This is located at 7501 Grade Lane. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So this is a very important location if you have any type of chemicals or hazardous materials, pesticides, certain paint thinners, anything like that. Please don't put these chemicals in your garbage or in your recycling. These need to go to the has-been. You keep it in that container. Don't pour the chemicals in a trash bag. Keep it in the container that was holding it and just bring it straight to the has-been. You don't want to dump them in the dumpsters. You just speak to the person on staff. And it is for residential use only. So you don't want to be bringing like big drums of things, and you can't bring over, I believe it's 30 pounds of hazardous materials. Sorry, it's 40 pounds. All right, so here's a list of accepted items. Automotive fluids, batteries, like lithium batteries. You definitely don't want to be putting rechargeable batteries in your garbage or recycling. Please, please, please bring them to the has-been. Cleaners, any type of fertilizers or pesticides, gasoline, lawn garden chemicals, oil-based or lead paint. These all can be accepted there. No business items, nothing bigger than 5 gallons or 40 pounds, no latex paint, and no helium tanks. And if you go to louisvilleky.gov/hasbeen, you should be able to check that list. Recycle Coach is a great tool. If anyone wants to scan that really quick, I'll leave it up for a couple more seconds. This tells you where items go. This if you have any questions about where do I put my broken glass mirror or my air filter, it'll tell you where it goes. Fun fact, both of those items can go in the garbage. I would probably bag up the broken glass mirror just so no one gets cut. But this is a great option. You can set it up to where it gives you notifications of the night before garbage pickup or recycling pickup. That's what I mostly use it for. And it sends me notifications if a staff center closes or anything like that. It's a really, really neat tool. Pop-up drop-off events. This is something I mentioned a little bit earlier. They happen throughout the year from March through November. They happen once a month at different locations throughout the city. Great place to drop off lots of different items. A lot of people come for the shredding. A lot of people come to drop off shoes for water step. You can bring electronics. You can bring appliances other than freezers or fridges or anything with Freon. You can bring your recycling, large items, prescription medication drop off, yard waste. These are great things, and they happen throughout the city. The next one's happening on August 23rd at Metro Fleet Services, which is on Newburgh Road across from the Animal Adoption Center. But yeah, we have, 4 more until the end of the year. Some great tools and resources, like I said, Recycle Coach, Metro 311, and you can also visit louisvilleky.gov for /clean for more info. All right, so let's keep Louisville clean together. Small actions make a big impact. You can share what you've learned with your neighbors, and together we can build a cleaner, greener city. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. This is my team. Top left corner is Karen Maynard. She is our solid waste manager. Top right corner is Rachel Young. She is the solid waste. She is the education supervisor. Bottom left, Diane Moon. She is also a public education coordinator, and I am the bottom right, Diana Tobias. This is my email. I'm a public education coordinator, and my office number is 574-3578. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at diana.tobias@louisvilleky.gov, or you can give me a call. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening.